Hello, can you guys hear me? Alrighty. So when I'm invited to speak and I have to share something, they usually just come out as random ramblings, whatever's in my head. So hopefully this is somewhat coherent. But when I was asked to share about what God has been doing in my life, what God has been teaching me, for well, I picked actually one of the later dates, so I don't have to go first. I have a lot of time to think about it. But just in the past few months, I've been thinking about how God transforms us, even as Christians, and how that has looked like in my life. And so in 1 Corinthians 15, verse 9 to 10, Apostle Paul said, "For I am the least of the apostles, and do not even deserve to be called an apostle, because I persecuted the church of God. But by the grace of God, I am what I am, and his grace to me was not without effect. No, I worked harder than all of them, yet it is not I, but the grace of God that was with me." And that, to me, is a really great picture of what it looks like for us as Christians in terms of how God transforms us, because we may not be walking around killing Christians before we became a Christian, but yet we were against God. I know I personally was against God. And yet God came for us, and by the grace of God, we are who we are now. Quote unquote, good people. But even as Christians, we are still sinners. We're still not good, and without God, we're nothing. And so, for me, kind of the life event that solidifies that idea a little bit for me was when I had Maylee, when Maylee was born. So if you could go to the next slide. So this is my when I think about having a baby, this is the first thing I think about. They're just gonna take all of your money, and then if she's a girl, then 20 years later, 25 years later, she's just going to marry somebody, and then she's just going to leave you. And so even before she was born, I had, for months leading up to it, I had thought a lot about how, this is going to ruin my life. Because I had a pretty good life. I got to do what I loved. I got to work with students. I got to coach soccer. I got to do all of that. And then I realized that as soon as I have a baby, then that would change. And so, yeah, I was a bad person. Still am. So if you go to the next slide, because this is what parenthood looks like. This is what I think about when I think about parenting. This is after she was born. Okay, I was getting ready. We were gonna go leave the house. I got my shirt on. I got dressed. I picked her up, and then she thought it would be a good idea to pee on my shirt, and so I had to put her back down. I had to change my shirt. Everything just doesn't go according to your plans anymore. And yet, the more I thought about it, the more I realized that a lot of this negativity, a lot of this feeling of just a lot of the resentment, it comes because I have a sin of just being selfish. If you click, can you click 3 times on the thing? Thank you. Because I want to hoard my money just for myself. And I want to hoard my time, make sure I have time for myself. And I want to have control of life. I had a plan for myself. I had a plan for what I want to do for the day, for what I want to do for the next couple of years. And then a baby came along, and that changes everything. And to put it bluntly, I hated fatherhood. Okay, it feels terrible saying it now, but I hated my child. It changed everything for me. I had a different plan. I had a different desires, and so I walked around, just like going through life, just thinking about how unfair this is, how like miserable I am, how life is just terrible. Sorry, guys. I know you're like. I'm sure you guys are. You guys seem like you're more excited about it than I was, so that's good. But yeah, I was just miserable. And then if you could click onto the next slide. So I mean, I felt like that depression influenced that a little bit before I became a Christian. Like depression was a big part of how I came to Christ. But when you have wrestled with that, then like the slightest bad thing can kind of push you towards like the more dark parts of your thoughts unnecessarily. And so if you can click on that one more time. Like for the first year or so of parenthood, I like constantly go to Google and just search how fatherhood will make you unhappy. Okay, and I just read articles upon articles, and I just think about like, as if it would justify like, hey, look, like, all of these other people are like this too. Like, I'm not bad. It's just how it is. Just being a dad just makes you unhappy. Yeah, I like. I'm just trying to paint to you guys a picture of like how, even though I was a Christian, I was a bad person. Like I was selfish, I was self-centered, and I don't know, because your child is supposed to be a gift to you from God. Like you are entrusted with that responsibility, and yet here I was walking around hating every part of it and hating just that responsibility and how my plans changed. And like you're a dad, you're supposed to love your child. You're not supposed to hate your child. But I hated my child anyway. If you click on the next slide. So then this was kind of the verse that I leaned on the most. In Matthew 11, verse 28 to 30, says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." And every day I walk around just feeling burdened, just feeling miserable and hating life. But I just prayed anyway and say, help me today to have enough love and strength and energy to pick up this child when she cries, to change her diaper, to do all these things that I didn't want to do. But I was still hating every part of it. But then fast forward 2.5 years later, if you can go to the next slide. I don't know if you can see the pictures, but happy times right here, basically. Like, I can't tell you now, like, how much she means to me. I can't tell you how much, like, I would sacrifice, I would give away to make sure that she'll be okay, to make sure that she will grow up okay. And I think a part of me says that, like, it's because it got easier because she's a toddler now and like she grew up a little bit. But I don't know. Like, as a toddler, they still do annoying things that they couldn't do when they were a baby. And so, like, I don't know that it's so much circumstances that changed, but rather it is me that changed. And like, I wanted to, like, if I had to tell you, like, how, like, what did I do to change? How did I change? I can't tell you. Like, I don't know. And to me, really, it is God that changed me. Like, it is God that transformed my heart to give me a bigger capacity to love and to have patience and to do the things that don't make sense, like changing poopy diapers and having your child pee on you. But next slide, please. But I just want to leave with this. In Philippians 1, verse 6, Apostle Paul says, "And I am sure of this, that he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion at the day of Jesus Christ." Like, as a Christian, God, I don't want to commit heresy, so like if I said something wrong, feel free to stop me and tell me. But when God saves you, like he began a work in you. He begins a work to where he transforms you, and it is continuous. Like you will never be perfect in this world, right? And so when I had Meili, I was resigned to the fact that I would be unhappy for as long as I would have her, which is until I die, probably. I just felt powerless. I just felt like I can't do anything to change this. And so I kind of want to encourage you, like if you are in a situation where you feel like you are powerless, if you are in a situation where like you feel like life sucks and you can't do anything about it, my encouragement to you is that maybe you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything to change it, because God will take care of it for you, and God will take care of you for you. And maybe it's not so much the situation that needs to change, but how your mindset is and how strong you are. So that's it. I'm done.